am I right in saying that you have a young horse who is a little bit of a potential superstar called Cooley HHS Calmaria, and that Equilume has made a real difference in terms of finding the key to unlock some of her talents?
Yeah, she's an interesting mare. I always say she's probably one of the trickiest horses I've ever had and the most talented. She's quite quirky and she's quite hot, and she's got a lot of opinions. And it was interesting when I first met Michael at Equilume, we just put one of the masks on her, and we put the mask on her and she immediately put her head to the floor, which was the weirdest thing. So we started using that regularly on her and at the shows and everything, and she's definitely turned a corner, almost instantly settled more as a horse and become more trainable.
Welcome to the Equiratings Eventing podcast, and listeners, 2023 Horses to Watch, brought to you by our very good friends at Equilume. We are going to be debating the horses that you need to be looking out for this year, the ones who are going to be topping podiums, the ones that are going to be absolutely catapulting themselves to the top of the eventing scene. This is one of our favourite shows of the year. I am buzzing, listeners. I hope you guys are too. The countdown is very much on. Sam looked quite terrified at that introduction there. But how are you? This is a fun show.
Oh, Nicole, it's a privilege and an honor to be invited back onto the Equiratings Eventing podcast. I've always considered myself a friend of this show, and thank you for having me on such a prestigious show. I know how much this one means to you and your listeners, so great to be back.
You're always welcome to be a guest on the show, Sam. And we're looking forward, actually, to the return of the overview show very soon. Listeners, it's coming to a podcast platform near you.
Almost like you're hinting that I'm procrastinating on that one and letting the side down.
No,
it'll be back. Coming back.
I'm just, promising the listeners what they want, and then you will be morally obliged.
If the listeners would like to let us know what they would want on the overview show, I mean, I have a few things in the oven and a few irons in the fire, but I'm happy to be steered as well.
You've got the timer on those, Sam.
Oh, no timer. No, not in the cooking in my kitchen is all field based, a very un-Equirating-y, Once I know something works, then obviously I will perfect it and it will be far more timed. Yeah.
We could just go down a complete rabbit hole, but we're not going to, because we've got loads to talk about on the show, listeners. This is the show that we always get to the end of the year, and we didn't actually do it last year, but I think we should in 2023. We go back, we look at what we said, and we go, did we get it right or wrong? So it always feels like that little bit more pressure.
I mean, I think the most important thing in sport is opinions. Obviously, I think opinions based in a degree of numbers and fact are more valid, but I think what makes this stuff as a success is caring enough about it to put yourself out there and say, I think that's going to happen or it's not, and then to listen back. You sent me some of the ones that came out last year, and actually, as I flicked through them, I was like, wait a second, Kitty King put up that Tim Price horse as a horse you don't know about now, but you will know about next year, and the horse went and won Maryland, was it?
Yeah, Coup de Coeur du Devant. Kitty King put Coup de Coeur du Devant up as the horse who you don't know their name now, but you will this time next year. And
so
was she?
Yeah, I think if you can get one little gem like that out of a podcast like this, so you couldn't. We're the three of us. We're probably 4 categories, 12 horses. Outside of the obvious, I presume you've got a list of Brits to win, 5 stars, Brits to win, Brits that we've forgotten about. I presume you've gone for a couple of open goals knickers, but outside,
actually no. So of the 4 categories, only one of the horses that I have picked is British.
Okay.
I'm quite surprised with myself. Only one of them is British. It is the most obvious one, to be honest. I am absolutely not taking any chances with this one. We'll give you the category.
I think you are. We'll get to that in a minute.
Fair enough. Okay, these are the categories. So 5-star winner, so a horse that will win a 5-star in 2023. A forgotten horse, so a horse that might have been off the radar, either on the sidelines, change of jockey. So we haven't seen a huge amount of them over the last sort of season or so. Young gun, so a horse that is no older than 8 going into the 2023 season. and the catchiest title, which I made up on a whim about 4 years ago, and it is stuck. And it was so long that I actually couldn't type it into Instagram as a hashtag because Instagram said, no, you don't know their name now, but you will this time next year. Which was Kitty King's Coup de Coeur du Devin selection from last year's Horses to Watch show. And what we will do actually is, if you would like to go back and listen to our Horses to Watch show for 2022 and see what we got right and what we got wrong, then we will link it in the show notes here. But which category would you like to start with? Dee, I will give the choice to you. Tell me, and we will go in that direction first.
Oh, I think just follow the chronological order. 5-star first. Let's pick some 5-star winners.
Okay, 5-star winner. Who is your 5-star winner for 2023?
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah, go for it. I love it. Listeners, just to give you a little insight, actually, at the top of the show, Sam and I were chatting about our picks and sharing with the group who we were going to be selecting. Generally speaking, might have kept a few up our sleeves in reserve. We get to D and he's like, yeah, no, lads, I'm not telling you.
I'll stop you there. Me and Sam were casually sharing what we were just chatting. Here's what actually happened. Nicole goes, I don't have a forgotten horse. Has anyone got anything for me that I could put in that category? I'm going to pick. I know who my 5-star one is. I don't have a young gun, and I don't have a forgotten horse. You're coming on the show. You've only got 4 horses to pick. You've only got 50% of them actually selected.
And who did she try to pick?
She tried to pick
forgotten horse. Brookfield Innocent.
No, Easy Turn, Shane Rose.
Oh, Easy Turn. Oh, you don't know their name now, but you will next year. Easy Turn of Shane Rose. Now, I appreciate that many of you listening to the show might not, because you live in no. There's a massive but. There's a massive but here. This horse this horse has been talked about multiple times on this podcast, Nicole. So you're just admitting that people don't actually listen to what you're saying. It should be quite a fundamental problem. And secondly, this horse is like a rock star in Australia. And just because it's a rock star in Australia means that like, yes, he could be your 5-star winner. If you think he's going to win Adelaide, put him up as your 5-star winner.
She. So you didn't even know if she's a boy or a girl. You obviously don't listen either. She was a 7-year-old. What a 4-star long.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
We
4-star short, I think, no? Or was it actually a 4-star long?
No, it was 4-star long.
Yeah, it was
4-star long. Anyway, I was just trying to be a helpful citizen, okay, and give you a few suggestions. I have my 4. I'm happy with my 4. And because you're giving out to me, I'm just going to go first. My 5-star winner. Well, you're
is Easy Turn. We've done it.
No, it's not. My 5-star winner. I did think actually Easy Turn could win Adelaide in April. Adelaide, of course, is back. First 5-star in Australia for a good number of years, actually. It's been 3-year break, so it'll be 4 years, almost 3.5 years, and it'll be good to have it back. But my 5-star winner is my safest, in theory, in inverted commas, selection of my 4 picks. And I am actually going to say that the Burghley winner in 2023 will be Tom McEwen and Toledo de Casa. Why are you making faces at me, Sam?
Oh, I thought you might have picked a horse for Burghley that could at least make the time around Bertoni.
Give it a proper 5-star track, Sam. Still make the time.
Now we're underway.
I mean,
now the show's getting started. Well, we actually agreed at the start of this show. Every so often when we all come on to record, some days you'll get a hit, as you know. Some days you'll get a miss, as you know. Today is a day when there is sufficient tension between all members of the team that it could be a great show, could be a disaster. We'll see how it plans out. But calling out Toledo, I think that's brave. I think it's also brave to describe Toledo as a safe pick, given the badminton mishap.
Put it this way, we've only really seen him at Burghley, once or twice? Did he go twice and went with loads of time faults maybe? But we've only seen him go fast around Burghley once, and he was 4th there. God, back in like 2017 or something now. And he had 1.6 time penalties, and it was the moment that Toledo de Casa and Tom McEwen sort of came of age. I think Chris Bartle said, no, go on, get out there, and you've got to show us you can do it. And he absolutely did. So I just think that actually we could well see Toledo step back from championship level. Tom's got loads of other horses in his armoury, and the likes of Brookfield Quality, of CHF Coolizer. There's a good number of them stepping up to 4- and 5-star level this year. I think he'll have options, and I think I really think we could see Toledo go to Badminton and Burghley and do the 2 big Bs. But for me, he's a Burghley winner.
Look, so much love and respect for Toledo, which obviously I didn't start with, just to drop a bit of a bombshell on you. But I don't think he's as easy ride as people would think. I think Tom ran him slowly early on in his life for a reason, which was that he just doesn't travel nicely, just dropping the bridle and you can just edge him along and keep him ticking along. Like, I think yes, he can be fast. He showed he can make the time around those CICs, but possibly that period where, in and around that Tokyo period where he had to A, fight for his place for Tokyo and get selected, and then B, perform at Tokyo, where he was running quite consistently with the handbrake off. Like even when he's going, like I think the mistake at badminton, was a little bit because he's either a little too fast, or he has to, or Tom has to try and anchor that, which is inefficient for time and for energy. And I think Burghley's just the track that exposes that to the max, because if you have to fight with a horse around Burghley, then you're going to struggle to have energy left, and you're going to struggle with the time. And maybe you're just relying on Burghley to be big enough and undulating enough to slow him down so that he doesn't have to do that.
But do you not think Twisty Protoni on the hills and the turns and everything else, that actually that's a track that you really do have to kind of wrestle slightly? Whereas Burghley feels a lot more, he can go out there. There is so much to back him off that actually he will just be able to gallop and jump.
No, it's a big misconception. But the Leaf Pit Discovery Valley, the Leaf Pit. You really have to. There's a lot. That's what slows you down, is that your ground speed has to come right down. And then even like say after the Rolex crossing and stuff like that, or the Rolex complex where you have to go across, like you have to slow down just on a galloping piece of stretch just to go up and down in the undulation. That's a nightmare for a horse like Toledo who's trying to run through the bridle.
It'll be very interesting actually, because I don't know which way round Burghley runs this year. But it could be that actually they go up Winners Avenue in the first half of the course, because this year it felt like it was very front loaded. And actually once you got past the Cottesmore Leap at the top of the hill, you were coming back down Winners Avenue and it was a lot more straightforward to get home. Whereas maybe it would suit him better the other way. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sticking by my choice. Toledo de Cursa, Tom McEwen, win Burghley. That is my 5-star winner for 2023. Sam, who's yours? Go on, better me, please.
By the way, Toledo, the 3rd highest rated British horse ever, just behind Veneer Chimera and Ballamore Class, have just edged ahead with, their peak kilos. Actually, Veneer Chimera right now is A, the all-time top rated British horse, and B, the current one as well. My horse, Nicole, I'm going to Australia. I'm going to Sinead Lowing's Bold Venture, who was at Protoni at the World Championships. So I got to see the horse in the flesh, which you don't always get to do with some of the Australian horses for us up here in Europe. There, nothing about 29th in Protoni is potentially saying 5-star winner. But a 26.3 in the dressage, you have to keep that in mind now for winning a 5-star. The average 5-star winning score is now down at 25. That's been quite a big post-COVID shift, but it held last year, which is 2021. I know we had some very low scoring ones, but in 2022 it still held these very low scores to win a 5-star. This horse can do that. Has been in the 20s in the last 5 internationals, but won Werribee for long, which is probably why it was selected for the World Championships with a 24.9 dressage and just had a 1 time penalty in the show jumping. Time penalties on cross country would be the threat, but it wasn't a problem in Werribee. And I think with such a good first phase and had 5 clears in the show jumping before Protoni, did have 3 down in Protoni. But if you're ever going to forgive a horse a show jumping round, I think it will be Protoni. I just think if this horse stays in Australia, then Adelaide is absolutely there for the winning. And if this horse comes up to the Northern Hemisphere, I'd hope that they go for like a Lemulin. I think they'd be ideally suited for it. So either Lemulin or Adelaide. It's a less obvious one, but Bold Venture for the Aussies.
They really caught the eye of a lot of people when they won that sort of final trial as such. I've got a fun fact for you. I'm pretty certain I'm right in saying this. Sharon Ridgway will absolutely be shouting at her podcast platform in Australia. Plenty of our other Australian listeners will be as well if I'm wrong. I'm pretty certain in saying this. Interesting you say time penalties could be a problem. I'm pretty certain it's full thoroughbred.
Okay. The New Zealand horse that I really like is who was there in New
Monica
Zealand.
Spencer, artist. Yeah, artist got a lot of people going.
I also love that your fun fact is I've got a fun fact for you. I'm almost certain.
I know. I think I'm right. I am right. Okay. Sinead Loring's Bold Venture. Are you saying they win Adelaide? Is that the one you're saying they win? Okay.
Yeah.
D?
I actually had to have a look at myself. I was going to go for kind of a one like Sam there, which was kind of difficult to like. I was going to suggest a young French horse that I'm interested in for maybe a Le Moulin or Pau. But I think this category really is about Kentucky Badminton Burghley, if I'm honest. And I think within that, you're trying to really identify which of the big powers can either maintain what they're doing or who's going to step into the limelight. But you're really looking at an established horse, I think, to try to stay brave on, or someone who's very close to it, who's about to step into it. There is no doubt at the moment that Chipmunk is far and away, or Fisher Chipmunk is far and away the top rated horse in the sport. I think what's fascinating about the Fisher Chipmunk conversation is those quite high profile, possibly higher profile because of the position they've put themselves in, but certainly high profile moments, which allows enough jeopardy into the Fisher Chipmunk conversation to make it fun and interesting around whether they would and could go for a 5-star, whether they'll be, it feels like they'll be very much targeted at the Europeans. I think he has a couple of nice horses coming through that maybe could even fall into the forgotten category and kind of a highlighter or a wild wave. I think there's a couple of those that maybe fall into that category that might get aimed at one of those European 5-stars and could win it. But I think, if I'm honest, I focused on Kentucky and badminton because you had done Burghley, Nicole. And I was looking at Ariel Grauld and Leamore Masterplan to begin with. I just don't think, in terms of a Kentucky thing, I just don't know that they'll get low enough in terms of that first phase. But certainly their form and their experience gained over the last couple of years from travel, I think, puts them as, and their age profile knickers, I think puts them as a really interesting US horse. Because while we have talked, and God, I have beat the drum about the US performance as a team moving into a really interesting area, I think there's a new challenge. I think there's a whole new challenge approaching the US now, which is the age profile of those top horses. And a lot of them, when you look at the top rated horses, kind of fall from 14 through to My Bomb and a couple, and like they're up in it's kind of 14 to 17 in terms of where their top rated horses are right now. So I think you've got to really look at who comes next.
They're all get to the drink.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah. And not in America. Not in America.
What's the legal age to drink in America?
I think you have to be 20. Is it 21?
21.
What?
Can I?
No one
21 in America. Yeah. Can I just put something out there, Dee? Because I actually really like this combination. I think their profile is excellent at 5-star level. They've travelled. They've done they've been very, very impressive.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't see them getting into the low territory in the dressage to win a Kentucky, if I'm totally honest. Their best dressage from 5 runs at 5-star was a 32.5, I think it was in Protoni. We've only seen maybe 2 finishing.
Isn't it such a shame? That's such a good combination.
Oh, sure. I mean, Vasily, Sam. I mean, you want to put up Vasily. I mean, if they go 5-star, could they win it? But even if they go 5-star, it's hard to see them winning it.
But I'd say with the current trend of Maryland, with the clear inside the time rate there currently, how it's been for 2 years, I imagine Leamore Masterplan goes to Burghley, and then I think I'd be really excited, and I'd be really gunning for them as well. And I actually think that Toledo has 2 shots this year. I think Toledo at badminton, I wouldn't write him off at all. To back you up,
I have my winner though. I have my winner. Sorry, I was getting there. I know I brought you on a really long and winding road.
So unlike you.
But I think the truth here, even though I slagged you for this, Nicole, and then I actually found myself on the same, I think you got to just keep it simple. What will you look back on as a sensible pick? I think the answer is Lordship's Graffalo to win badminton. I think they go one better. I think finishing second on a HPR of 104, they've done absolutely everything right. They are, well able to deliver dressage tests anywhere from, lows of what, I don't know, 20. You could easily see them somewhere between 23 and 26.
They're going lower. Still improving is the thing.
Yeah.
He's an improver. So he's 26, 25 now, but heading for 23s, 22s.
They make the time at Bertoni. We know they're fast. They're very, very good show jumpers. They've had 4 poles in their entire international career of 16 competitions. They've never had a cross-country jump in fault. Everything is, it's the top-rated horse that we've seen at their age. Sam, we've talked a lot about them over the last, particularly in the build-up to Bertoni. Could they be a world champion?
Yeah, the first since the Aesthetic Sam. That would have been the first 9-year-old, I think, since the Aesthetic Sam. Or was it 10-year-old? No, what age is Lordship's Graffalo? He's now 11, isn't he?
He's now 11.
Yeah, so the first 10-year-old since the Aesthetic Sam to be a major champion.
You think where Vasily went after a top 5 at Tryon, this was a top 4 finish, but it wasn't a shock at all. It was just a continued upward trend that we saw from Graffalo. And I think, in terms of badminton, Burley, Europeans, in terms of the star of the show, we've had London 52, we've had Brookfield Innocent, we've had big 5-star horses like Veneer Chimera, Ballamore Class. I think if you're looking at a star of the show in Britain in 2023, I very much expect it to be Graffalo and Roz Cantor. So Lordship's Graffalo, their name now, but this horse is going to be absolutely everywhere this year is my feeling.
I'm so with you on this. Okay, I think you've picked the hardest event, by the way, badminton, but I would bet this horse to be the highest rated horse ever for the British team, okay? Because the most complete horse can be a championship horse and obviously can be a badminton Burley horse. So can do it all wherever he's campaigned. And I think he will be campaigned competitively by Roz. She doesn't hold back. But it hasn't been the British MO of late to do what the Germans have always built these monster ratings with Le Biocetic Sam, with SAP Hail Bob, and even Opgun Lugo a little bit, where they go out there, they're consistently competitive. This horse is already doing it for Roz Cantor. May not look the fastest as a model, but he's only got a bag of sand in the saddle. In Roz Cantor, lightest jockey on the planet, and that makes a difference. But so skilled. This horse is going to, like, when you consider the top 3 British horses on ratings, Veneer Chimera, Ballamore Class, and Toledo de Kershitz, because they've been consistently competitive at 5-star, the highest quality fields, and they're very consistent and very competitive in those. But this horse has, aside Toledo's, in my opinion, probably the most quality of those 3. That's hard on Ballamore Class, actually. He hit heights. This horse, I just think, is the one that's going to surpass them all. Whether he does it in 2023 on ratings, but massively excited.
I agree completely. I think he's very much on an upward trend. Last year was a breakthrough year. Watch this space in 2023. Right. 1 category down, 3 to go. To recap, I have said Toledo de Kershitz Tom McEwen will win Burley. Dee has said that Lordship's Graffalo and Roz Cantor will win badminton. And Sam has said that Bold Venture Sinead Lowings will win Adelaide. So on to the next category, listeners, which I am delighted to share with you, is the Forgotten Horse. Now, this category, it is open to a little bit of subjectivity, because forgotten is such a loose term, isn't it? I'm sure they're not forgotten by everybody. But these are horses that have perhaps been off the radar for a little while, or have been out of form for one reason or another, or have had a couple of problems, and therefore people have sort of stopped talking about them quite so much. So to give you a bit of an indication, the horses that came up on the Forgotten Horse category last year were, I picked Clever Louis, actually, who'd gone to Bobby Upton, former Chris Burton ride. Spike actually came out with a bit of a corker. He picked As Is, who used to be with Andrew Nicholson, went to Oliver Townend, actually finished on the podium at Maryland at the end of the year. So that was a great shout. Kitty said Away Cruising. And Georgia Patrick actually said Sandman 7 with Yaz Ingham. Away Cruising is a really interesting one with Harry Mead, because I think Forgotten last year, didn't see a huge amount of him, could well see him back this year. I think badminton is the plan for him. So preparation there has already started. So Sam, do you want to go first? Who is your Forgotten Horse for 2023?
Yeah, I'm going with, again, for as is always the case with these, some people might not say forgotten, but J'adore Moi for Sophie Loeb. And the reason I put them in the forgotten bracket is the heights that we held them in 2021. So the top 4 performances in 4-star long ratings in 2021 were Amanda Bonneville in Saumur, who went on to win the Olympics, JL Dublin at Bicton, who went on to win the European Championships, and Banzai de Loire, who won Blenheim and went on to be our world champion in 2022. So, and the 4th horse that went over a HPR of 100 in a 4-star long was J'adore Moi and Buccalo, the Buccalo winner. And that's who I'm talking about now. The other 3 are obviously all reigning championship winners, but J'adore Moi is the one that kind of wobbled a little bit and didn't really do a good enough test and had a 20 and then retired in Le Moulin. So done a 30 dressage, the only time they've been in the 30s since Le Moulin 4-star short back in 2021. They're consistently mid to high, maybe not mid to low, but mid 20s. Aachen was a bit of a form revival in form. So they were 5th at Aachen last year. And then they finished the season 2nd at Stragom. So you need enough with the forgotten horses to see that there's a flicker of their kind of top ability still there. But it's I think in a European Championship year, we could see 6 German riders at the European Championships, and I think this horse could be one of them, and I think that could be a platform for them to show their spark.
Yeah, everybody was talking about them, weren't they, as kind of the next big thing for the German team. And then the spark did sort of fizzle out slightly. But a European Championships this year feels like a great opportunity for some of those younger riders to really make a mark. Particularly when teams have got Olympic qualification in the bag and ticked, you never quite know what everybody's plans are going to be. Sometimes there's the odd plan that's thrown out there where somebody will skip a European Championships and it opens the door of opportunity for other people. So, okay, J'adore Moi, Sophie Loeb, your forgotten horse. Dee, who's yours?
Struggled a little bit.
I gave you Easy Turn, Dee, and you didn't want her, so...
You actually gave him Easy Turn in a different category. I struggled Knickers because it's harder to forget the Brits and the Americans because we're closer to them, I suppose. So as you both mentioned, the subjectivity in terms of this category. I wanted to go with a horse that I think is a superstar, was an emerging superstar, very close to the Graffalo area, one of the top horses that we would ever have seen. And in this case, out through injury. If they weren't injured, they're actually no longer. So we have on one of our dashboards that we use internally, if a horse hasn't competed for 2 years, they automatically actually drop from the current list. So that's to try and ensure that there's some level of recency. So in terms of a forgotten horse, this horse is actually no longer even on our current dashboards. I had to find them. To show you the potential, though, they actually sit on the all-time list rather than the current list. They've managed to hit heights that would have put them into the all-time list, not just in their country, but actually internationally at their age and across ages. So that'll give you an idea of the level at which I'm talking about. This horse, when they left the sport, shockingly and appallingly for me, and disappointingly for me, when they left the sport, they were rated pretty much on a par with where Brookfield Innocent is now. And that will give you an idea as to when Brookfield Innocent was going out of the sport, it was shocking because actually, you know, Brookfield Innocent, London 52, they were on, you know, they felt very much going across 2020 that they were on a par. Brookfield Innocent basically doesn't get to go. London 52 does keep going, and suddenly we have a badminton winner and Brookfield Innocent. Could they fall into the forgotten horse? I don't think so, not Brookfield Innocent. This horse, I feel, the one I'm going to mention, if they come back, if this horse comes back, and I've no idea how injured they are or if they're coming back, but the ideas that I've been given are that they might come back. And if they come back, they're in the top 3 rated horses in Germany, behind only Chipmunk and Amanda Bonneville. It is, of course, Asha P with Ingrid. I think it's very easy to... They're not... Nicole saying they're gone. They're not, how do you know they're gone?
Not?
No, I don't think they are gone. No. Any time I've spoken to them, they said, no, there's still a good chance Asha P comes back. And I think that's why I would say, okay, it's impossible to call it. I don't know. I don't have the information. If they're not coming back, I mean, I think it's a shame for the sport. If they're not coming back, it's actually a massive moment in the sport, because I think you see the rise of Ingrid, where she had Escada, Hail Bob, and then Asha P coming through behind. I think without those 3, you know, it's a completely different German team. It's a completely different Ingrid Klimke. And actually then it does make sense that Ingrid goes and does international dressage competitions for a while.
They were the highest ever rated 8-year-old on the ELO, got to 698. So no 8-year-old has ever gotten to 700. And this is the horse that got closest, ahead of Fischer Takanu, Upsilon. Fischer Takanu, remember, winning the European Championships as an 8-year-old and winning another 4-star long. So like that's how highly SAP Asha P is rated.
And I mean, we talked about it at the time, but do you remember when we spoke to them, Anne and Ingrid, in Aachen? I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe. But
no, it was last year. It was last year. Yeah, so the best horse she's ever sat on. I love that, by the way. I love when feel and
numbers can
you know, data.
Yeah, they can be backed up.
And they do so much more frequently than you think.
But we don't know if they're coming back. But if they're coming back, I think they're definitely forgotten, and I think they're definitely
Nicole's
worthy.
A press release here that she's about to drop.
No. I am literally, because I had kind of presumed that we perhaps that we had seen everything of Asha P, which is wrong. But I have news, Steve, because I have just been doing some stalking. Now, this time of year, we're recording this at the end of January. Normally, if you go onto the FEI database, 2023 registration missing, not for SAP Asha P. She is registered for this year already. That I would say is a very good omen.
We're doing dressage shows. Ingrid's some dressage star now. Do
you want to hear a funny story?
Go on.
It's really bad. So at London International Horse Show, I basically stood fangirling over Ingrid doing her warm up for the dressage on was it Franciscus, her dressage, her Grand Prix dressage horse, and I'm literally stood there fangirling and realised after I'd gone that the person I was stood next to fangirling her was Greta Busaka, her daughter, who was there grooming for her, who I put up as the young gun on my Riders to Watch show last year. And I just was so busy literally looking at Ingrid going, I love you, that I just had totally not realised. I had to send her a message afterwards and be like, I'm so sorry.
Now, when you say fangirling, or like, were you talking out loud? Were you just taking
No,
pictures?
I mean, I was just kind of loitering awkwardly in the background.
Were you taking did you turn around and take a selfie with her in the background?
I didn't, but I did take a picture of her berry pony, her Wilbury Wonder pony, an SAP berry pony. So it was all for the gram, you know. But I was just so busy thinking she's amazing. That I just didn't realise. Anyway,
she's registered. Asha P is in the system somewhere. I think based on what they told us, based on what we've seen in numbers, I also think if they can get back, Ingrid is almost too big a name to leave out of those. I mean, whether it's Lemulin 4-star or whether it is Aachen or whether it's possibly a team or an individual place at the European Championship. There's a few areas that I think if Ingrid has a horse, she will be brought. And I think if Asha P could be brought, if Asha P is fit, then I think Asha P is the horse that would be still remain fairly streets ahead of anything else that's going to be available to Ingrid at the moment.
To be fair, you'd be looking at Paris, wouldn't you? You'd be thinking, right, let's get a consolidating season under our belt. There'll be qualification boxes to tick. Let's look to Paris. Let's get all those boxes done and dusted. That would be the first thing for me. Okay, my forgotten horse is a horse who post Kentucky in 2021, or the build up to Kentucky 2021, was in absolutely incredible form and was the horse that everybody was talking about as potentially one of the winners of Kentucky that year, was then duly named on the US team before picking up an injury. So was selected for the Olympics, one of 3 selected for the Olympics, ahead of Doug Payne Van Diver, Tammy Smith Mybarn. And it is, of course, Dinero Z and Liz Halliday Sharp. We haven't seen a huge amount of them. Since then, we've seen a bit. Last year, he came back. Had been off with injury. We didn't see him much throughout the latter part of 2021. He had the rest of the season off. Was top 10 at Kentucky that year, actually, which I think Liz would have been a little bit disappointed with if she was being totally honest, because I think, expectations were very, very high, and he had come in off the back of some very good wins at the 4-star short level. And certainly everything looked to be gearing up to a really, really big campaign. But selected for Tokyo, off through injury, came back second half of last year, had some good results at 4-star short, nothing that really blew everybody away, some nice placings, ended up with a second place finish in the 4-star long at Tryon at the end of the season, kind of leaked a few penalties in the cross-country time and jumping time. So I don't feel like it was their best performance, but it was interesting that Liz put something up on her Instagram whereby she was doing some pure dressage with him, and she said very much feeling back to his best. Feels like back end of last year was about getting him out and about, wouldn't necessarily have been all guns blazing. I don't think he'd have been absolutely primed and ready to go, and I think that will be the aim for this spring. Dinero Z to make a big comeback for 2023.
If you want to talk about forgotten horse, I mean, so I remember Dinero Z thankfully on my left in a prize given at Le Moulin in the 5-star, but looking at that was back in 2018, which is quite a long time ago now, 5 years ago. But Ferry Dianamo, Mr. Bass, then Shearer, Sealer Lan are the highlight. Regan Rua, like there's not many of those horses still going. So this horse was obviously young at the time. The others were more in their prime. But yeah, definitely would be a comeback.
It would, and it's one of those. Liz has so many good horses. In a way, I think actually that will take the pressure off Dinero Z a little bit as he makes a comeback, because she's got a whole host of really good 8 and 9-year-olds that could be challenging for Pan American Games contention. And I think, she's got Mixed Master C, who I expect we'll see at 5-star level again this year, Cooley Quicksilver as well at 5-star level. So she's got a really, really nice team of horses. And actually that sometimes helps unlock things a little bit, doesn't it? Because if all of your eggs are in one basket and if the focus is on one horse, then very much the pressure is on to be able to deliver. But I actually think she'll be able to take him where she wants to take him, which I imagine, listeners, is Kentucky. And I think Liz Halliday Sharp, Dinero Z will be back with a bang in 2023. Okay, on to the next category, and it is the young guns. So these are horses that are no older than 8 in 2023. And I'm happy to get...
I didn't get that definition.
Well, do you know what? I'm not that crazy about the rule on it. We kind of relaxed it a little bit a couple of years ago because Kitty King wanted As Is, who was a 9-year-old at the time. So we did actually loosen it once in the past. So if you really want a 9-year-old...
I'm going to stick with my 9-year-old then, I think.
Okay, yeah. Go on then. Do you want to go first then?
Yeah, grand. I'm off to France. Enjoy de Crouet with Maxime Livio. 9-year-old now, obviously, yeah. So that's why I'm breaking the rule, but hasn't done a 4-star. But the 3-star form is just very solid. I always think with these young horses, and it's the same with my selection for you. You don't know them now. Is you want to back a rider as well, and obviously Maxime's record is 5-star record. I don't know if that horse will get that far now this year. Well, no, it surely won't. But I fully expect it to be 4-star ready with plenty of 3-stars under the belt already, but just very good form. But the French form in particular. So like it won a Vanche 3-star long, but only 16 in the class. Picked up a nice rating, finishing on a 26, but not as big actually as second in Linière, where you're looking at nearly 70 starters. There's another event there, Chaumont as well, second, again over 60 starters. So just big OBPs, big ratings, highest rated 9-year-old on the ELO coming into this year. So like, look, obvious for us on ratings, but sometimes it's nice flagging up a horse with a big rating with an unknown rider as well. But in this case, Maxime, I think can get the job done. It'll be interesting looking at him at 4-star, but this horse has never been out of the 7th is its lowest placing. It's got 10 internationals under its belt, whole rake of top 5s and stuff. So this could be a good one.
I think it's finished on its dressage score in 7 internationals or something as well. I think it's only ever picked up a couple of times.
7 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah. Very impressive. I think as well, France have got a lot of really nice horses coming through at the sort of the 9 and 10-year-old level. Be very interesting that it hasn't done a 4-star, and I wonder if it would go to 4-star to Saumur. This could well be a horse that we could actually see go to the Europeans in.
I'm not sure if Saumur's having a 4-star, by the way.
Oh, is it not? Breaking news, listeners. Bum, bum, bum.
I'm not sure. I'm not to be confirmed.
Watch this space. I am going to throw mine into the mix, and it is a young horse actually that I'm going purely on the fact that I've seen it a couple of times and I really, really liked it, because I always find the young gun category for horses that you could basically go and look at the top 10 for Le Lion for the 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, and you can take your pick, which is basically Dee's holding his hand up. That's what he's done. And I thought, no, do you know what? I'm going to think outside the box a little bit. So I scanned the top 10 and I carried on going down. And the horse that I've got is actually a really, really smart young horse that I first noticed, I think it was at Barbary last year. And he is a 7-year-old this time. By Emperor Augustus. It is an Irish horse, actually. He was top 20 at Le Lion in the 6-year-olds last year, but had a couple of rails down in the show jumping. And it is a horse called Monbeg Ainsley, who is ridden by Aoife Clarke. Had a really, really smart season at national level last year. He won a novice at Barbary, which was when I first saw him. I saw him again at Gatcombe at the Festival of British Eventing in the Open Novice there, and he was well placed, but he just looked like he had all of the ingredients to be a really, really top horse for the future. And I actually was chatting to Aoife about him at the time and said how much I liked him, and she said, oh, he's really smart. He finds it all quite easy. She's sort of having to put the handbrake on slightly because she doesn't want to push him too quick, but he looked really, really nice. Lovely, big, bay gelding, listeners. Gorgeous stamp for horse. Looked very Irish. Just lovely.
I'm not even going to get into what does looking very Irish mean.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Monbeg Ainsley, my young gun.
That could be a Paris horse.
It could be. It would only be an 8-year-old in Paris.
Okay, maybe too ambitious. Sorry. That won't stop Aoife trying.
LA.
Yeah, it would be young though. Hard to get my Go on, Dave.
It's very difficult to follow up when Nicole kills your methodology before she even starts, just by saying some fools will just scan the top of the Lilian list and that's who they'll go for. That is who I'm going for. I actually have 2 names on my list, and I was looking at the all-time 9-year-old ratings. I was looking at the all-time 8-year-old ratings. I was looking at the all-time 7-year-old ratings. Trying to figure out Kitty, Piggy, Pippa, they all sit fairly close to the top of all of those lists. Like it was Sam, when you mentioned, following riders to some degree, we do tend to see the same riders bringing through brilliant horses. And I think definitely Liz as well. And I think definitely you would probably, the two horses, that would be two takeaways, Nickers, that we've talked about a lot as 8-year-olds are Shanro Cooley for Liz Halliday and Dasant Arthalant for Piggy March. Previously, an old Irish horse, as you say, Nickers, with Claire Abbott. I think if we do a Riders to Watch show, I think Claire Abbott has done a fantastic job on a number of young horses recently. I think there's quite a few of them that are beginning to pop up in different places. I think she can take a lot of credit for the start that she gave to Arthalant. And I think Piggy being able to take over and to continue that form so successfully is a real indication of the horse and I suppose the training, but also the natural quality that the horse has. They are, the record is almost all wins with both of them. Mainly
is this the horse you're putting up?
This is Dasant Arthalant for Piggy. Yeah, this is the horse I'm going to go with. Second in the La Leon in the 7-year-old class. Had won Osberton before that. Had won in Bergam, in Mill Street again. They won the 2-star class at Chatsworth. From 10 international competitions, a couple of withdrawals after dressage, but very rarely have they delivered a test outside of the low to mid 20s. Perfect cross country record. Fast. I think only 2 occasions have they gone cross country and actually had time penalties. Now I get that we're operating at a lower level where that is more achievable, but ultimately I think they've done absolutely everything that that could be expected of a young horse. I think with Piggy there guiding them through, Arthalant is either going to get sold for a shed load of cash or is going to go off and do some special things with Piggy. So either way, I think young gun to watch. Honourable mention to Shanro Cooley, who we've talked about on some of our US shows and our US horses to follow. On this side of the water, Arthalant with Piggy March.
I have a feeling that Arthalant actually changed ownership last year and stayed with Piggy. So fingers crossed it's going to be a partnership that we see continue for a good while. She's really got some nice horses. She's got the couple at 5-star in sort of Brookfield, Innocent, Veneer, Chimera, Halo at 4-star, and then there seems to be a bit of a sort of a patch of those at 3-star level that are entering their 8-year-old year this year that we'll see step up to 4-star maybe at Blenheim towards the end of the season. Okay, final category. It is, of course, my favourite. You don't know their name now, but you will this time next year. Now, the perfect example of a horse that would fit this category is a horse that none of us picked in this category last year, but kind of explains it perfectly. And that would be Zaragoza, who coming into last season had, I think, competed up to the 3-star long level, hadn't really kind of topped any podiums or anything like that. 2022, 4th place finish in Saumur, very, very eye-catching performances throughout Aachen, etc. And then went on to a top 6 finish at Pretoni. And with Gaspard Baxud, was crowned Equiratings Horse of the Year in 2022. So Zaragoza would have been the perfect example. Some of ours from last year were actually Coup de Coeur Dudevan, who we opened with at the top of the show. Kitty King put them forward. Chintonic HS was my selection with Will Coleman. Aces High with Clark Johnston was another one from Spike. So that kind of gives you an idea as the sort of horses that we have put forward here.
You
Sam?
picked the wrong Gin Tonic, didn't you? You could have had Julia Krajewski's Gin Tonic.
Well, I don't know. My Gin Tonic did okay. Top 10 at Aachen. I was quite...
Okay.
I didn't mind my Gin Tonic. I thought my Gin Tonic did very well.
No, I think
I'm going to get a... Will Coleman's going to be, hey, what are you saying about my horse, buddy?
Yeah, exactly.
It is amazing that there are 2 brilliant Gin Tonics coming through.
Can I also say as well, a sub 20 finishing score at 3-star level last year for my Gin Tonic. One at the 4-star level.
Go on to the Gin Tonics record, and then you'll see what you could have.
There is breaking news about the gin tonic of Julia Krajewski. That's Chipmunk's. Is it his full brother or his half brother?
Don't think full. Same sire anyway, but heraldic on the dam side.
I'm pretty certain it's been sold to America. Didn't I see that somewhere?
Who?
Sold to America? Gin tonic.
Julia's one. There'll be 2 gin tonics in America.
I think so, yeah. I'm sure I saw that on the Discord group. I mean, proper breaking news, that, listeners. I'll try and do some digging. But there you go. Okay, I could just be speculating wildly, but I've certainly heard it or seen it somewhere. Sam, who's you don't know their name now, but you will this time next year, horse?
I went a good bit kind of lower down in the age group. This is going to be a 7-year-old now, so I mean, I think you could see a big, this could be a Le Lion horse is what you'd be looking for. And again, I think actually rider wise, this could be a slightly forgotten rider, but they seem to have a good horse under them here. The horse is Guns N' Roses. The rider is Holly Woodhead, who I wonder, will she be Holly Avery this year? We will see. But yeah, look, they won the Osberton 6-year-old young horse championships, which is always a competitive affair, and an obvious enough starting point, but have just produced a lot of those, which Holly can do. Like she's, I think I'll be careful with some of the national form going into the teens. They can be a little bit variable and things like that. But again, one of the top 5 rated 7-year-olds coming into 2023 on the ELO, and just good to see that name. Like, this is a rider who led Aachen at one point, and that was with DHI Lupison, I think was his name. But all that experience is there. She's been to a European Championship. She was a young, promising, put under a lot of pressure at a young age, had to deliver, and certainly we know she can deliver the first phase, and we know the importance of that. But with the other phases, all that experience will have stood to her hugely. So looking forward to seeing her with some strong horsepower again.
I feel like poor Holly has had such a tough couple of seasons through injury and through horsepower, and actually it's her time, and that this year is going to be her time.
I was in Jardy at the eventing forum just at the weekend, and Clayton Fredericks was there. I don't get to see Clayton that much, but it's been a couple of years since I saw him. And we were talking about, the challenges facing event riders, and a lot of it financially as well as, trying to be competitive and things like that. And that the standard keeps going up, how professional the sport is now, but still the prize money probably not reflecting that. And the options outside of, say, the Badmintons, Burleys, Kentuckys to win prize money, and Maryland now, I would say as well, is very difficult. And he was like, I don't know. I just think if you see a nice young rider coming into the sport now, I think you just got to have a word with them early on and say, are you ready for 90% of heartbreak and disappointment? Because if you are, come on in. This sport's for you. And it was just the way he said it. It's just so tough. So, I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not to put anyone else, but like that is to appreciate when you're watching someone at badminton having a good result, to acknowledge how tough this game is, and like not just when you're on the pitch. I think there's a lot of sports when you look at them on the pitch and you go, japers, that's tough. But they might be quite well paid, quite well sponsored, and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of pressures for these riders trying to make rent on your yard, trying to get outstanding invoices paid, trying to get ones that you owe and ones that you're owed, that kind of stuff, trying to attract owners to you when there's no real financial reward for those owners. This is a tough game. And then you bring in the fact that these solid obstacles, when it goes wrong, it can go very wrong. The risk that they put themselves under.
You're really selling eventing right now. So.
No,
yeah,
it
sounds like a great sport.
No, I think to heighten your appreciation of what you see in front of you, folks, when you're watching this, I think that's just a bit of context.
Okay.
But I also think that there's no harm in saying it either to make sure that these riders do get the support they need.
I think Hollywood Head at Guns N' Roses is a brilliant shout. D?
I've went through a few different rounds on horses that we don't know now. You got really slated by us for suggesting Easy Turn in this category, and it actually made me a little bit nervous about whether it would be acceptable to put my horse in.
Brutal listeners, absolutely brutal.
It was a wild thing to say, but I don't think Mixmaster C would be that well known in the UK. Mixmaster C. Okay, I can see by your face. Okay, I'm just saying.
Absolutely not, D.
All right. Well, I can go away from that. But I think it was definitely be. If you don't know Mixmaster C, I expect you will know about Mixmaster C next year.
I mean, Mixmaster C was 5th at Buccalo last year with Liz Halliday Sharp.
Look, I think there's going to be people riding along, being like, appreciate that, Knickers. Thanks, D. I definitely don't know who is 5th at Buccalo. And I'm you know what I mean? I'm not that engaged with the USEA podcast, so I haven't heard yourself and Rob Burke talking about Mixmaster C all the way along. Hang on
a second. Can we just
there's people out there, Knickers. There's people out there that are saying Mixmaster C, didn't know him. Happy to know about him now.
Did you just really say that you're not that engaged with the USEA?
No, I'm saying there's people out there. There's people out there that are driving along now, being like, you know what I mean? I listen. I'm from England. What would I be doing listening to the USEA? I want my own stuff to listen to.
There's loads of stuff on the USEA podcast, listeners. If you're not from the US, trust me. Right. Anyway, carry on. On you go.
Right, I'll leave Mixmaster C. That's the way we're going to be about it. I think one thing about, I think you mentioned it with Holly. I think one thing about getting a horse that's not yet known about, getting them known, is actually the opportunity piece. Like if Holly had been operating in Canada, Ireland, I don't know, Belgium, we'd all know about Hollywood Head a lot more. It's just that like there's so much talent in Britain that it can be hard to break through.
Yeah.
So one of the areas that I've been looking at is like 2 horses that I think, could they break through? France right now, as you said at the earlier on in the show, Knickers, I think there's a number of really interesting horses coming through in France, but there's not that much up above. You know, like Zaragoza, I think for Gaspar, even at 10, I think she's one of the top 3 rated horses in France at the moment. Bermain for Tom Carlyle being top of the pile.
That's a potential forgotten horse.
Bermain. Bermain was at Bertoni, wasn't it?
No, D'Artagnan de Belliard was at Bertoni. Bermain went to Tokyo and then didn't compete because she picked up an injury. Sorry.
Bermain,
anyway,
Bermain would have been really sensible. I went with a horse. Oh, let me just get my notes up here. Stéphane Landois. This horse was actually 10th at Buccalo. So 5 places behind Mixmaster C. But Sam, they did put up a really big rating in Semur, which is where we saw interesting form lines coming from the year before with the Olympic champion. This horse is called Chemin du Montreux.
I mean, we put this horse up as a potential for Bertoni last year. It was, I think, is this his top one? The horse in the 4-star long Semur.
Yeah,
went to Aachen and it didn't go so well in Aachen.
Yeah, well, not too bad. I mean, they did a 28.6 dressage. They jumped clear and they'd 1 down in the show jumping.
I think you get away with this on language. So we've slated one because it'd be a star in Australia. We've slated one because it'd be a star in America. This one, just because we're an English-speaking podcast, I think we'll give you this one. But this horse is.
What do you mean? You'll give it to me? Do people? This horse? What's it called, Sam?
I'd say Chemin du Montreux.
Yeah, it's just a hard name to say, but as in, like, it was top 3 as in, I know it's form, top 3 in Semur and Aachen.
What do you mean, and Aachen?
And as it was at Aachen, as part of the French team in Aachen.
To be fair, I will give D this and say this would be a horse that actually is under a lot of people's radar and could well be a star for the French team over the next 2 years. So,
well, I don't know about the could be a star. I suppose that's why we're putting them up. But absolutely, lads, let's be honest. How many people have heard of him? Like, come off it, you two. Oh, we talked about it once as a potential to go to France.
Like shortlisted for the World Championship team, but fair enough.
By who?
The French.
By the French Federation.
Fair enough. All right. Fair enough. I'll accept that. Fair enough.
I just answered that automatically without thinking about it. I think I should have just remained silent and said, why don't you have a think about who shortlisted him for the World Championship?
I thought it might be shortlisted by you on your pod, about like who might go where. Okay. Well, I think Stefan Landwehr's horse is a really interesting pick. Not that well known by some. And I think, again, has the opportunity to become known because I think they're actually, with a European Championship in particular and with not that many horses ahead, you might find them scraping on. Can I just have one? I know I'm running out of time. Can I just have one tiny more horse to put in there because it fits the same category? I won't even talk
tiny
about
horse, like what, 12 hands?
Shetland pony. Breaking news.
This horse isn't tiny, but it fits into the same category. And because we've been talking about Arthelon's start, and because we're talking about opportunity, I think an Irish horse that we're going to see. Oh, he's shaking his head.
He's not going to say you, Sam. Is he?
No, I know.
Definitely not going to say you.
Is it Claire's? Yeah. Is it Claire's horse?
Is that your pick?
No, is it your pick?
Well, I was going to do that. Well, it depends. Claire has a few, but I was looking at that DHI No Fear.
Well, sold as well.
Sold?
Yeah.
To someone big? Are we definitely going to not know about it now and know about it next year?
Oh, maybe. I think it's gone to Japan.
Woo! DHI No Fear. Woo, woo, woo.
I think so.
Everybody, remember that, okay? I didn't even know that information. But anyway, if you don't know about it now, you will next year. DHI No Fear coming in with an ELO above 600. I did think that they would get a bit of an opportunity to get a bit more exposure through Ireland. They'll 100% get it over in Japan. Keep an eye out.
The Japan isn't guaranteed.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, we're probably going to get stuck with a lawsuit for breaking something.
We've sold an awful lot of horses on this show.
We've sold them before, Nickers. We've retired people. Remember the time we retired poor William?
Oh yeah, we retired.
No, that wasn't me. I'm staying out of that one.
Anyway, Stefan Landwehr's Chamon Dumont Show and DHI No Fear for Claire Abbott. Two horses that I think would acceptably, along with Mixmaster C, Whisper It, I think acceptably would be under the radar, but I think could have reasonable 2023s, and at least we will have heard of them this time next year.
Okay, final one for me. I will just say, though, that apparently I didn't make up the fact that Julia Krajewski's Chin Tonic has been sold. Apparently has been sold to the US. So watch this space. Oh, I'm throwing my phone around in my excitement, listeners. Okay, my pick for, you don't know their name now, you will this time next year, is actually a horse that I watched all through the end of the season thinking they were going to be my horse of this category. And I was quite delighted when that end of season went very well. Tim Price, the man in incredible form at the end of 2022, current FEI world number one, has a budding superstar in his stable. And it is a horse actually called Gerillo, who went very, very well in the 3-star long at the end of the year. Tim and Janelle actually love to take a horse out to Linière at the end of the season, and they did so with this horse. He is owned by Tim and Janelle alongside Sean and Lucy Allison and Rachel and James Good, who are massive supporters of Team Price. He is actually, I'm frantically trying to do some maths, he is a 9-year-old this time. He was third in Linière at the end of the season in the 3-star long, finishing on a 27.6. He's had tons of good national results at intermediate level this year, tons of placings. Made the step up from novice last year, but it's just one of those horses that has actually been getting a massive amount of mileage and experience. Was second at Haradapin in the 2-star actually in 2021. So has been doing all the right things coming up the levels, as is often the case with Tim and Janelle. Their horses sometimes go out and they do a lot of their education at an event. So there's the odd 20 and stuff on his record. I'm not worried about that. I think this is a horse they think a huge amount of for the future. I would imagine we'll see him step up to 4-star somewhere, possibly go to Blenheim for the 8 and 9-year-old class, maybe Buccalo. Maybe this is the horse that's going to give Tim Price back-to-back Buccalo wins at the end of the year. Watch this space, Durillo.
We've put up the horses that were second and third in that 3-star long in Linier.
Who won it? Should we have put the winner up?
Matthew Chambers, Big Boss Mello, but he's a lot older. He's now a 12-year-old. Has got very good form, very consistent form, and did step up to 4-star short at Cronenberg. I'm afraid if you haven't done it at 12, I mean, you're ringing. We like the younger ones.
I mean, you're over the hill. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it?
Knickers, you love Janelle. What?
I do too.
I know. Sorry, just Knickers is really clued into this stuff. What about that Fairy Magnifico?
Yeah, it could be a really good shout, to be fair. Yeah, absolutely. From what I remember seeing of Fairy Magnifico would be like a really sharp, sort of feisty little horse, I think.
Someone like Janelle to have a horse like that.
Well, I know. Another rider rode it in a 2-star at the end of 2022, so whether it may not still be with Janelle.
It was 4th in Stragon in a 4-star long last June. Did you say somebody else rode it last year at the end of the year?
Yeah, French rider Ronan Joulon rode it.
I mean, it sounds to me like it's probably been sold then, to be honest.
So the reason I was asking, and we're going to have to get off this show eventually, because we all have probably put up multiple horses, which ruins these quizzes.
But basically, we're nearly in 2024, and these horses.
Yes, the horse was sold at the end of the year, so Fairy Magnifico can probably.
No, I was actually asking because in those form lines, when you're talking about the Chaman du Monceau for Stéphane Landois that everybody knows about, Nicolas Touzon's horse, Diablo Ment or Month. Nicolas Touzon's youngish horse has followed a lot of those Semur, Linier form lines. I think is really one to keep on side.
Lads, the French they'll have 12 spots one day in Arras de Pin for the Europeans.
Oh my goodness, they actually will. You're right. These are the horses to pick.
But Semur was. I was there. It is frightening, the talent, the equine talent, and it's all like, because your home Olympics. Look at what Team GB put into a home Olympics in terms of all this. Like, this is funded. This is strategic. This is thought out. This is a nation full of riders that are trained classically and professionally and brilliantly from a young age. The culture is there, the training is there, the ethos is there, the volume is there, everything is there. French are the power nation that are about to emerge. We have had the era of Germany with 5 team gold medals and 5 individual gold medals in 5 consecutive years. We had the British dominance, particularly in 2021 when they won the Olympic Games and the European Championships. The next wave is a French wave. Yeah, it is coming.
I mean, and they won did they win the Olympics?
Yeah, they won. They won in 2016, and they were team bronze in Tokyo.
Yeah, they've been very consistently one of the most, I think, kind of actually underrated in terms of their consistency of getting on podiums, because they did it in WEG in 2018. They did it. So WEG actually in Bertoni was one of their. That's the first French collapse we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah.
They also don't worry about Olympic qualification, because as the host nation, they get Olympic qualification as well, which also one less thing to worry about. After that, Bertoni didn't go to plan. We could basically name 100 other horses on this show, listeners, but we're going to have to call it, because we have all totally broken the rules and named more than one in each category. I think what we will do now is actually invite you guys to tell us who you will be putting up for 2023 Horses of the Year. Send in your suggestions, and we are going to leave you on this show with other members of the Equiratings Eventing podcast team giving their nominations and the reasons for it.
Hey listeners, it's Rosie here. My horses for 2023 are as follows. So the horse that I think that's going to win a 5-star is My Bomb and Tammy Smith. I think that if they head over to Kentucky, they're likely to win Kentucky, or whether they take a trip to Lemulum, not sure. But I definitely think that they have a really, really good shot. My Bomb is a cross-country machine. He ate up Badminton. I know that Tammy said that she could have pushed him a bit harder and got a bit faster. So I think that the cross-country side of it is not a problem for him. He's a class show jumper and he can get super low, as we all know, in that first phase. He's absolutely beautiful to watch on the flat. And even with the mistake in Pretoni, he got a 24, the mistake in that extended or medium trot where he broke into canter, and he still pulled off a 24. So I think that he can definitely get low enough, to win the likes of Kentucky. My forgotten horse is actually a horse rode by Master Michael Young. It is Fisher Wild Wave. Fisher Wild Wave hasn't competed since the Europeans in 2021 out in Avanches, where they were 4th, a 23.9 dressage and a double clear. This is a really super little horse, only 11 years old. It'd be really exciting to see them back out on the circuit in 2023. They were 5th at Lemulum, 5-star, back in 2021. So Fisher Wild Wave, just missed out on a podium finish at the Europeans, is my forgotten horse. So my young gun is an 8-year-old mare. It's Pure Trendsetter, ridden by Ellie Fredericks. This mare is really smart. She went to Lilion and had a 31 dressage, 1 pole down show jumping, but clear inside the time cross country. They were 2nd at the freestyle long at Hartbury. They won a 2-star at Bicton in 2021, and they were 9th at Barbury, 3-star short in 2022. I think that Ellie's plans will be to get some 4-stars under her belt, probably try and end up at Blenheim at the end of the year. I think she's a really exciting, consistent mare that is going to do well at the 4-star level. And finally, my horse that you don't know now, but you will know this time next year, I think I've got that right, anyway, is Flow 7 of Molly Summerlands. This is a really nice black 9-year-old gelding who I must say is super smart in the first phase and has had a lot of success already. They were 3rd at Osberton, 3-star long to finish off the 2022 season. They were 7th at Barbury, 3-star short. They won Nunny 3-star back in June last year. So they can get really, really low on the first phase. Very, very smart on the flat. Fantastic cross-country horse. I think only had 1 cross-country blip in their international career. Show jumping is definitely Flow 7's weakness, but I know that it's something that Molly is trying to work on a lot this season and trying to make sure that that improves, which has been improving if you look at the record over time, but still likely to have the odd pole or two. But if she can conquer that show jumping, I think that Flow 7 is going to be a horse that's very, very hard to pass because they can get so low in the first phase that once they're there, if she can conquer that show jumping, it's very likely that they're going to stay on it. And she's managing to win and place in the top 3 already at 3-star level, whilst they still have a few issues with their show jumping. So I definitely think that Flow 7 will be a horse that we are very, very much aware of this time next year.
Right then, listeners, horses of 2023. It's very, very exciting, pushing on forwards from the World Championships last year and everything that has happened. So 5-star winner, I suspect it's probably been picked, probably by Sam, but Lordship's Gruffalo. What a wonderful horse, 2nd at Badminton last year, clear inside the time, and if I remember right, it wasn't actually held on course like some of the earlier starters, so like London 52 for example. So went clear inside the time on a tough track, hearing whispers that it's going to be another big Badminton this spring, with a new area for them to go into, new field being used. and some big fences being built. So, what a great horse anyway. Clear inside the time last year, clear inside the time at the World Championship, showed his undoubted ability there. Absolute genius on top. So, yeah, I will back Lordship's Graffalo to win Badminton 2023. So, my forgotten horse. We haven't seen this horse in 2022, but was a very, very talented young horse, was the national 7-year-old champion in 2020, continued to be produced beautifully by Tom Jackson through 2021, ran in the 8-9-year-olds at the end of that year at Blenheim, unfortunately missed last year, but HH Moonwalk is a horse that I've always loved and is in very, very capable hands. And Tom had probably a bit of a re-breakthrough year last year with his super result at Burghley. And it would be some great ammunition if HH Moonwalk was able to come back this spring and into 2023. And I think is a super talented horse, beautiful horse, very good on the flat, good jumper, nicely bred. And I think could be one that we might be talking, by the end of this year, talking about being very competitive at 4 short, maybe 4 long, if everything goes well through the season. So, yeah, that's a horse I'm really looking forward to hopefully being back on the circuit this year. So, Young Gun. I always think it's slightly cheating picking a 9-year-old, but hey, I'll go for it anyway. Cooley Snapchat of Selena Milne was 3rd at Le Lion 7-year-olds in 2021. And progressed really nicely last year, was top 20 at the 8-9-year-olds at Blenheim, had a pole down, which was really unusual, but is consistently under 30 as a serious jumper by Cannon. And I think is a gorgeous horse and in some really, really good hands there with Selena. And I think that's a horse that we could see doing really, really well at the 4-star level this year. And admittedly, I think picking a 9-year-old is cheating, but we've had way too many discussions about this in previous years. So, tell you what, if you can't beat them, join them. So, the horse's name that you might not know now, but you will do in a year's time, is actually a horse that won the Young Rider individual gold at Hartbury last year. It may be a horse that listeners aren't fully aware of, even though with that great result. It's called César de Comarin, with a super French rider called Zazie Gardot. She went on at the after last season, having won the individual gold, to do their first 4 short together at Le Pouget at the end of the season. Nice 31.1 dressage, a couple of poles, but clear cross country. This is a cross country machine and a real good jumper as well. And I think that French path of being going on and doing well at Bramham, they really target that under 25s. They had some very good riders there last year, and won it. And I think this could be one that I wouldn't be surprised to see there this year. So when it's won Bramham under 25s, everyone will know the name of César de Comarin. Although I'm sure there's some serious British talent to take it on at Bramham under 25s. I always look forward to that class, but as ever, there will be a strong French contingent, and I think Zazie Gardot with César de Comarin will be there fighting for the win.
Hi, this is Kitty King, and these are my horses to watch for 2023. For your 5-star winner, I'm going for Green Acres Special Cavalier, ridden by Caroline Powell. She was 5th at Pau at only 9 years old. She's 10 this season, and I think she's very promising. She didn't have a single jumping fault last year, whether that was cross-country or show jumping. So I really think she could have a 5-star win in her. For your young gun, I'm going for SBH Big Wall, a very flashy grey horse ridden by Izzy Taylor. He's 8 this time. Last season, he was 4th at Le Lion in the 7-year-olds, and then he was 6th the year before in the 6-year-olds. The horse, whose name you don't know now, but you will this time next year, I'm going for Cooley Snapchat. He's a very upstanding, nice horse ridden by Selena Milne. He was third at Le Lyon as a 7-year-old and 15th last season at Blenheim in the 8 and 9-year-olds. I know Selena thinks a lot of him and has been producing him slowly, and I really think he could come out and do great things this season. For your forgotten horse, I'm going for Grovine de Rev, Janelle Price's Olympic ride, who we didn't see much of last year, and hopefully we'll be seeing more of this season.
Hello podcasters, it's Catherine Austin here. My horses to watch in 2023 are as follows. I think that a 5-star winner will be JL Dublin, this gorgeous horse who was the European champion in 2021 with Nicola Wilson, who produced him so beautifully and is now the ride of lucky Tom McEwen. They proved that they are a partnership by the end of the season, and with the winter's more experience and work and togetherness under their belt, I think they will be very impressive this year. A forgotten horse, Brookfield Innocent, I don't think anyone's forgotten him, but we haven't seen him since last spring. Piggy March's silver medalist at the 2021 European Championships in Switzerland. Top horse ridden by an absolutely top rider, as we know. I think that Brookfield Innocent and Piggy March will prove their worth once again this year, even if it is perhaps later on in the season. My young gun, a horse that is 9 years old or younger, is Finley de Loire, who is 8 years old this year, who Oliver Townend won the 2-star short on at Houghton last year. They're the reigning British novice champions. They won the 2-star long at Osberton in the autumn. Oliver says whatever level this horse gets to, he will win at. Very smart, owned by Cornton stud. I shall watch this horse's progress with interest because he looks very, very cool. And a horse whose name you don't know now, but will this time next year. This is another Oliver Townend horse. He bought last autumn for Sir John Peace and Victoria Wright's Cornton stud, a French horse called Fargan de Loge, who is 8, who was produced by a French rider, hasn't got an enormous amount of international experience under his belt. I think he's done a 2-star. But Oliver says he's a real jumper and a real galloper. So Fargan de Loge. And I haven't seen him yet, and nor will any of you have done. So we await him with interest.
There are some great picks in there. I'm looking forward to the review show at the end of the year when we decide, did we get it right? Or when we don't decide if we got it right, when we see if we got it right, listeners, did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? We put our suggestions out there. As always, send us your suggestions in. We would love to hear from you. We'll share them across social media. For now, though, massive thank you to Equilume for their support of the show, and keep your ears peeled for the riders to watch in 2023 as well. Bring it on. The 2023 season is very nearly here. This episode of the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast is supported by our friends at Fairfax and Favour, and we wanted to tell you a little bit more about their extraordinary story. It was a story that began back in 2012 when two friends made a rather ambitious pact, combined their middle names and launched their very own footwear brand. They were actually funded by shifts at the local pub, and they then took a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Spain to find a factory that would produce luxury goods that would help kickstart the dream. From storing their precious new wares in a loft, launching on the show circuit and pursuing that dream, the Fairfax and Favour vision has since exploded, and there's a range now that includes bags, clothing, boots and sandals. The luxury shoe giants have an array of awards, including last year a Lloyds Bank Business Excellence Award, and they're passionate about raising money for charity and have already donated over £500,000 to really worthy causes. Their story continues, but for more information, go and visit their website, fairfaxandfavour.com.